Hello, welcome to another toneless landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and we're finishing up Golden Path today. And you're thinking, whoa, Golden Path, I kind of remember that. It's from February, but there's lots of times I really did like this painting and the way it looked. One of the main things I wanted to do was just bring in a little subtle texture into those very dark trees, which I really like. And also, I felt the inside edges of where the trees are up against the center light needed to be lightened, and that all that was a little patchy, kind of, but in a good way. I don't know, it's probably still patchy for all I know, but I gave it the old college try, and so this is going to be a 50-minute video. It's sped up about 3 or 4 times, I'd say. So, I thought that would be a good way to do this one. Um, and for my own archival purposes, I'll probably just dig up the original Golden Path and then join it up with its, finish, because I'm nuts like that. So, I just like to archive everything I do, and you get into videotaping. I like the video aspect because um, not so much really, it's not even that I do anything much different in painting to painting, but I just think it's great to see the linear progression. Once you have a painting there in your life, whether it's on the wall or whatever. Pardon me, I didn't sneeze. I sneezed a while back, but it might be a sniffle or two here, so apologize for that. Um, with the painting itself, you've got this thing. It's an object. It is itself moving through time. Its journey continues after the initial creation. Actually, its journey started when it was, in this case, a bit of MDF being pressed in the factory, and then I bought a big sheet of it, and I had it cut down to this size, and then this is a textured one, so I spent a lot of time on those textured boards getting a really interesting texture. Yeah, you would be surprised. If I was to show that aspect of the painting, it'd be like, yeah, I don't know, I'd probably spend maybe 20, 30 minutes on a board, maybe 40. It's hard to say because it's a pretty intensive process. You can watch the video on that, by the way. It's on my channel. Just type in the word texture. Apparently, texturize is not a word according to the American lexicon, but it sounds like a word to me. So, anyway, so I had a couple things I wanted to accomplish with this, but I was very keen with it the way it was. So, I didn't want to mess it up, and I'm looking at it now, and I'm thinking this is probably one that I want to do in a large size. I have done the drawing stage and the initial block-in of a painting over the last week. That's 1624, which is awesome because it's like golden mean proportions, and that came out really good. It's kind of in the same vein as the golden one I did. Very similar sorts of composition, but I talk a bit about that there, where you're building on your strengths, and especially when you're trying to take new parts of the territory. And so one of the things that I really want to accomplish through the rest of this year and probably even into next year is doing a lot of larger works and getting very comfortable with it. And that's what I've been doing, and it's been in my mind for a long time um, to do that. I've had hesitations with larger works, mostly because they take up more room. The framing is really more money. But on the plus side, you reach markets that you wouldn't have reached otherwise, because the painting's big enough to go over a couch or go over a mantelpiece. A little one like this little 7 by 10 gem, you're going to have to put that in the hallway or put it on a little side wall or put it in a grouping, you know. That's my whole wall. Every wall in my house is groupings of some of my better paintings, and then of course a lot of the works that I've bought from other artists over the years. And if you're an artist and you're trying to sell your work, I highly recommend purchasing the work of others. And a lot of times, of course, you may not have a lot of money. Um, but get a small original, get an etching, or if you're totally broke, get a print or something. I'm not that big on prints, I tell you. I do sell some in my studio, and I have a couple galleries where I do some prints. But they're very affordably priced. And I did experiment with the whole sign and number thing, but again at a small, affordable price. But I found it to be if you've ordered a painting from me, you've received one of those actually, because I usually stick one of those in with anyone that buys a painting. But they were neat, they were cute, but they were an awful lot of work, and so not sustainable. Yeah. Uh, I don't. And not only that, my real passion is I'd rather give someone an amazing deal on a small painting. The images in this modern, you've heard this from me before, but imagery in the modern age, it's been cheapened to the point where people just don't realize how special and iconographic an image used to be. If you, in fact, I have a very large old Bible here that I got from my time at the antique shop, and I got it because it has got some amazing illustrations in it, and I noticed very cleanly cut out in the front was one of the plates, and no doubt that was decorating the wall of the home that did that, and I'm sure it wasn't something they did lightly, but back in the day, 1800s, before, if you wanted a picture on the wall, you either had to make it yourself out of gosh knows what, or maybe you could have middle class and you could afford an etching or engraving, or you were very rich and you could afford actual paintings. So that's how it was for a long time. And these days, most people don't even bother to put anything on the wall. You see in house after house, people just have white walls, or they have some jokey piece of something from Walmart or something. It's like, give me, or well, I mean, I had posters on my walls when I was a kid, and um, I had one of Lonnie Anderson. I don't know if you remember her, but that'll date me for sure. Hey, everyone else was doing the Farrah Fawcett, and I'm not the type of guy to go with the crowd, so I did Lonnie. WKRP in Cincinnati. Yeah, I used to watch that show when I was a kid. Anyway, we're getting off the. Actually, I know I've lost most of the people that are just looking for a dalliance with the painting video. I usually bail after about 3 minutes, so it's the usual M. Francis burbling video, and but I think I've arrived at a pretty good spread of live and 15 minutes. And I mean, I could have put this up as a 45-minute live, but the truth be told, I didn't even record it that way because when I do the live videos, I'm actually it's a bit of a sacrifice for me in the studio. I don't mind telling you, because normally I would listen to an audio book or I would listen to a podcast, but instead I gotta listen to myself. It's to give you the live experience. If I had that stuff on in the background, I'd be copyright striked into oblivion. So I don't do it. But not a problem. I do it for you and posterity and whatever, just to have a nice. Again, see, I always get back around if you stick with me. I have a nice record of the painting and the processes that it went through. I think it's fascinating, and well, now you can see this is one of the main things I want to accomplish, was just adding a subtle bit of texture to those tree trunks, and I think that looks really nice, and it gives it a bit more of an aspect of realism. And I have to say, this whole pass is sort of doing that. Things are getting a little bit, in some cases, softened out. In other cases, one of the things I'm looking at now, there was a million zillion tree holes in this. And I left quite a few, but looking at it let's say it's probably maybe a half inch to me visually. As I'm recording this, I can see that I could have probably closed in a few of those, and that would have been fine. And I may actually do that before I do my final photography on the painting. And well, you can see I just closed up one. But I kept looking at that in the studio yesterday, thinking, yeah, that's a tough call. It's a tough call because, like I said, I've streamlined a zillion of them out. But I could have gone even further, so maybe you could take a lesson from that. Like, I'm talking about, say, if you look in that middle space, maybe the two that are just down, the two on the left at the upper portion of the middle, just below the one that's almost at the top of the painting, yeah, those guys could go. I think they could go. But you hold on to these things. Yeah. Yeah, what can I say? And I still think it's an amazing little painting. I really love the. It's golden, but it's not a straight up, not the straight up gold thing I usually do. It's got maybe more of a golden sort of deal running through it. Oh, hey, it's the scrolling ad for M. Francis's website. Why don't you go check it out? Landscapepainter.co.nz. I put a bunch of stuff in the store. I sacrificed a whole day away from painting to get some things in there. Some of them going, well, in fact, a lot of them would have been on the channel. This should have been one of them, but I didn't. So when I'm going through the pile, I'm thinking, oh, no, I'm going to do a bit more to us. I got a few more like that, and I got a few more that, I did plug up one hole there. I got a few more that, go back February, maybe not older, but just need a few things done to it. Like, this was not a huge painting session. It doesn't look hugely significantly different, but it has been improved in some subtle ways. And mostly because it was really solid to start with. One thing I debated doing was doing more work and texture on the path, but I kind of wanted this path to be it doesn't look like cement, but it could have been like sand, or it could have been some sort of smooth path. So a lot of times I like to introduce a lot more roughness to the path. I really like it when paths, say, like, have some bits of water in them, or that kind of. I don't like walking in those, but you know what I mean. They paint up better. And but this one, I thought, nah, there's so much other stuff going on. I felt that this, having that bit in the center without a lot of detail and things in it, or micro modulations or what have you, was a good way to go. So yeah. Yeah, so one of the things you can see happens is, like, everything gets smaller, tinier. That's the one of the risks you run when you put that thing back up on the easel. And lately, there's quite a few that I've let go, and then I don't regret putting this one back on the easel. It needed some things done to it to feel finished. It just didn't feel finished to me. Um, but you'll always lose something. Everything that you do to improve a painting has a positive and a negative pull on the painting. And it's not, you need to make sure you're in the right sort of mind space when you do it, Otherwise, you're just going to maybe ruin it. And I've done it so many times, and sold them, to be honest, because maybe I haven't ruined. So I guess what I'm saying, I haven't ruined one so badly that it wasn't saleable if it was good to start with. But I knew that I'd taken it too far, and I'll never forget. I got like 1 minute left. There's some really awesome Richard Schmid DVDs. Richard Schmid being a genius painter, a painter of the highest order. And he often talks about that in his DVDs, how, and he's in the process of doing it, just like I did. He's like, I shouldn't have kept going. I should have stopped. Because what'll happen, you can lose a bit of a life quality of it. But that said, I think I've improved this, so I don't regret it. And this one, like I said, I waited since February. And anyway, it's time to go. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much, those of you that have sent me donations and bought paintings and things. You guys are absolutely awesome. And until I come back with another video, please do me a favor. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Please do your best to be tolerant of people with opinions that you don't agree with, even if you think those opinions are odious. And stay out of trouble.